welcome to the Healing Word of the Week podcast with me, Marissa of Marissa Moments, where you might get triggered into seeing your own reflection, but it's to reconnect you to yourself and awaken the divinity within. So prepare for laughs, resonance, and accountability through true stories, channeled messages, prophetic words, and everything in between. So I hope you're ready because guess what? Here we go. Okay, so today's word is actually resonance. Now, I know I mentioned it in the intro every single week, and you probably hear it constantly, but how many of us really know what the heck I'm even talking to or talking about and when I mention resonance? So I want to get very specific because when it comes to the spiritual world, right? Because we can talk about resonance in music, which is, the vibration and frequency and things like that. But what I'm talking about is spiritual resonance. And what it actually says is that it can evoke feelings of tranquility, joy, and profound insight, right? So it's like a feeling of coming home. It's a natural, organic feeling whenever I say if it resonates or when it resonates. Now, regardless of what your domestic situation is like, because let's take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we don't all have peace in our home, right? So in that essence, then resonance may feel like a foreign concept to you. Like, oh, that's very nice for you, Marissa, because you have peace in your home. However, for all intents and purposes, the person who's listening to this may not have that same experience. And I'm here to tell you that first and foremost, I've not always had peace in my home, right? So the notion of resonance would have been a foreign concept to me in that time and space. But that's why I want to break it down to you. And that's why I want you to understand the importance of tapping into your own divinity, because that divinity brings resonance in itself. Now let's take it a little bit further, right? Because this is, I feel like it's going to be very educational to you, but not boring, right? Because I want you to understand whenever someone is talking about these different things, because oftentimes, again, and I say this over and over again, and I'm going to keep saying it until God changes the narrative, right? I feel like religion and sometimes people affiliate it with religion or spirituality and things like that. They often price it outside of the common man's budget. And what do I even mean by that? Because that may not resonate with you in and of itself as well, because it's like, what the heck, Marissa, right? So when I say that, what I mean is that people often use these lofty terms, such as sometimes resonance, right? Such as transmute and breathe into it and all of these beautiful airy fairy notions, but that the reality behind them all is that most people can't grasp onto it, right? We need something that we can sink our teeth into, and that's the only way we'll be able to put it into practice. And when I say that, oftentimes religion prices spirituality and divinity outside of the common man's budget, it's because they're always talking over us, right? They're talking over us instead of to us in a way that we can comprehend. And like I said, sink our teeth into and process in a meaningful way, which will allow us to apply it. Because if somebody uses terminology that I don't understand, then honestly, what I do is I tap out. Right? I tap out. I'm not going to listen to anything else that they have to say. I'm not even going to try to listen after a certain point, right? Because I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about anyway, so I might as well plan my grocery list. So I don't want that to happen to you when you're listening to me speak, because I always say, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to teach, but I'm here to remind. And the only way that I can remind you is by reminding you of what resonance actually is. It's that feeling of peace. It's that feeling of familiarity, right? When you come across something that makes you feel like, hey, that's me. That's me. I do that, or I've experienced that, whether it be from a traumatic incident that you're able to see the other side of the tunnel, right? Because there's always darkness. Darkness exists everywhere. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to paint some false, pretty picture that depicts some sort of unity that does not exist when you might be sitting within the struggle. I'm not going to negate your struggle for the sake of painting a pretty picture or making someone feel some sort of false hope, right? However, hope does exist, but I'm not going to offer you false hope. And I'm not going to tell you that everything is going to change on its head and the world in and of itself is going to completely shift. That is my hope. That is my dream. However, the reality that we're existing in says otherwise. But getting away from that, resonance, let's talk about it, right? It doesn't have to just be a traumatic incident. It could be something happy. It could be something silly. It could be the way that you happen to imitate different accents, right? Or and not in a negative way, right? Because we're staying away from negativity in this respect. But that is actually a really great gift. Listen, so I do yard work at my house, right? Because I don't have an option. But I can acknowledge openly that that is not my gift. And the reason I recognized even more that it's not my gift is that we were blessed enough to come across someone who does have a gift in it, right? And so I had done all this work. I was outside toiling for hours in labor and sweating. Oh my goodness, the sweat is just crazy, right? I'm pulling weeds and doing all the things, and I'm cutting around these different plants because there was beautiful landscaping that already existed when we purchased our home. And so now I'm just in a space of maintenance, right? Like I just want to keep it up. Right. And so I've been doing all this work. And then, like I said, somebody else came in, and maybe like a week after I did all this weeding, I'm thinking, oh, well, it's great. So all they're going to have to do is maintain what I did. Well, no, that person came in and did more. Right. But that was just a reminder of the fact that that's not my gift. What it did was it freed me up to actually access my gift and make it available to even more people on a tangible level. So it's also I'm getting back to resonance, right? It's a reminder of who we are, right? And what we're capable of. Yeah, sure. We can do anything that we put our mind to. If I really wanted to work out that weed situation and figure out which plants are plants and which plants are weeds and this, that, and the other, then I could. But that's not my calling, right? Now, I say that to say this. Sometimes we allow ourselves to get distracted and our energy and attention pulled from places and spaces that we know we don't belong, and they don't resonate with us. When we do it, we're just doing it because we got to do it. We're not doing it because it brings a sense of peace and calm. And it makes us feel like, oh, yes, the stars are aligning. Now everything that I've been through can be contributed and put towards this new gift that I'm giving to the world, right? That is resonance. And it's amazing. It's as amazing as it sounds. And I promise you, it's real. It is so real, and it is so possible. Listen, if we only look towards our struggles, then that's all we're going to ever see. If we only look towards our trauma and all of those things, then that's all we're going to live through. That's all we're going to experience. That's what's going to replay over and over. And it's going to keep us tethered to a place and space that we no longer even wish to reside. However, if we choose to I'm going to say it, transmute, which basically to me is a fancy way of saying turn it on its head, right? Flip it over and see the other side of things, right? That's when we start to find that purpose behind that pain, right? It doesn't mean that we enjoyed the trauma. It doesn't mean that we enjoyed the abuse or any of those other things, but it means that now we can make it make sense and we can use it to our fullest potential. We can channel it into something positive that we can not only give to ourselves, but give back to the world. Because oftentimes, and I don't even want to say oftentimes, but it feels like every single time we go through those trauma and we survive it and we get through to the other side, it's not so we can put it in our pocket and say, hey, that's a cool thing. No, it's so that we can open it up and share it with others, the other people that are still residing within that darkness, so that way we can be living examples of hope, right? We can give that map that we live through. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to follow it exactly, because everybody's experiences are completely different from one another. But what it does mean is maybe something is going to line up. Maybe it'll give them that epiphany. Maybe it'll make them feel that resonance, right? And then that'll offer guidance, because resonance is also guidance from God, right? We all have an intuitive guidance system that will direct us through our lives if we allow it to. However, we also have to be mindful, because society will program us through toxicity and tell us that we need to lean on other things, right? We need to go by someone else's opinion. We need to be a clone, a carbon copy of our neighbor. We need to live our lives based off of other people's judgments and opinions, right? Instead of actually going within ourselves and that God within all of us, right? That divinity within all of us, allowing that to awaken and return us back to a place and space of peace and harmony. Now, again, I'm not trying to give any false kind of notions or anything like that to say, oh, yeah, we're all going to join hands and we're going to sing We Are the World, right? Because I don't see that happening anytime soon. I pray for it to happen. And the way that I live my life is towards making that a reality. However, I also have to exist within reality. So that's why I will continue to share these channeled messages, right? That's why I will continue to share my divinity with you, with the hope that it will resonate and it will awaken, or at least start to stir the divinity within yourself, right? Because we all have it. I have not cornered the market on divinity or healing or ascension or success or any of these things. I've had to go through it, right? My life has been anything but perfect or easy or any of these other types of, adjectives or adverbs, whatever it is to define simple. I've been through the struggle. I've not known where my meals were going to come from. I've had to sleep in a car. I've been physically abused. I've been emotionally abused. I've been drugged, right? I've been talked about. I've been pushed down because in the words of the others, I was too much, right? My life has been anything but easy. But the reason why, when you look at me or when you hear from me, you don't see that aspect is because I've learned how to transmute it. And I found the resonance, and I've looked for that purpose behind the pain. And now I choose to walk in my purpose as opposed to my pain, because I am no victim. Yes, I may have been victimized just as you, right? But that doesn't mean that becomes our identity, because once that becomes our identity, then it tethers us to that toxic trait. And then we decide to start passing it down to the next generations. And I don't know about you, but I am the ancestor of tomorrow that is breaking generational curses, that is breaking the chains that has long held us tethered to mediocrity, to poverty mindsets, to struggle, right? All of these things, because they no longer resonate with me. When I think about them, I know that I am meant for more. And that doesn't mean that I feel like I'm above anything or anyone. It just means that I recognize the divinity within. And the reason I am saying all of this with passion to you, because I want you to wake up and recognize the divinity within yourself. Find the resonance within any of these messages, and don't just listen to it. Don't just say, oh, wow, that sounded really great. Let me get a t-shirt and put it on it. I want you to walk your talk. Apply it. To know something and to do something are two totally different things. And we are in the season of application, my friends. No, it is not easy. Yes, it is hard work. Yes, you have to constantly be mindful. Otherwise, you run the risk of reversion. And if you want to know more about that, then go listen to the podcast entitled Reversion, right? And see if that resonates, right? If you see yourself in that, because that's what resonance is. Seeing yourself. And also know and understand what God just put on my heart to share with you is that the things that resonate on today may not resonate tomorrow, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because the things I used to identify myself as, the victim, right? And all of these dark ways, or the clown, right? Or the imposter. All of these different ways that I used to resonate with and identify with, I no longer identify with today. And that doesn't mean that I won't change by tomorrow, because I hope that I do. Because as long as I have breath in my lungs, I am on this ascension journey, and I am learning, and I am growing, and I am evolving, not just for myself, but for the sake of my children and my children's children, etc. So all of that to say, pay attention. When it resonates, it is a reflection. It is trying to guide you. And make sure that you continue with your healing, because as you heal, again, you will resonate with different things. Don't be afraid of your own personal ascension. So that's it for today. I know that was a heavy one. So I hope that you are able to meditate on it. Don't just jump into listening to music or scrolling through TikTok or whatever it is that you're going to do. Actually meditate on this word. Listen to it again if you need to. Play it for someone else. Play it out loud while you're doing the dishes. Just make sure that you are applying these things and looking for yourself truly and completely, because I promise you, who you think you are is not who you truly are. So that's it. Thank you again so much for listening. Like I always say, the only thing better than walking this healing journey is to walk it with friends. And friends, I appreciate you for listening to me every single week, for joining me all over social media, for recognizing the words that God is putting on my heart to share with you, for not judging my own personal journey while you walk yours as well, for allowing me to heal openly and overtly, which means the same thing, in order to help you find your own personal resonance and divinity. So that's it. Happy healing, apples and tomatoes, all the things. And until next time, you know it. Bye.